Okay, right. Lot of news on Sunday evening at 10:30 here in Australia. I'm heading over to the UK to Dominic Bailey's YouTube channel, and he's gonna ask me some questions on common law. And if I can stay awake after this, is my second YouTube interview and one today at a meeting. So it's my third rowing competition, and I hope I can stay awake. If I fall out, well, if I go to sleep, you know why. Over to you, Dominic, in good old Kidderminster in Worcestershire, the UK. How are you going?
Oh, how you doing, Barry? Dr. Barry.
Any Barry will do.
It's all good in the hood. Yeah, I just wanted to catch up because I have a lot of people just recently asking me about common law and the ins and outs, and the usual questions. What is common law? That's what they ask. And how do you? I mean, I look at it as like man's law, natural law, your birth rights, your natural law of freedom, morally. Your morals have got to be there, cause no harm to others, that kind of thing. I mean, that's really the godly. You've got to be a sort of godly, nice, peaceful person, I think, is my sort of meaning of what common law is. So I'd just like to know what your view of that is.
Well, first of all, I have to correct you on that word person.
Oh, yes.
I don't mind people swearing and using very naughty words, but person is an inexcusable word, because even that the sheriff in the background, he would probably shut those doors and drive off if he could, if he wasn't photographed. It's word in common law that must never ever be used, because the reason for that is, and people need to do the research, because you can lead them around like sheep, and they're all enthusiastic. They'll ask the same questions they asked at every meeting, and it means nothing to them. So they just have to go onto Google. Don't worry about whether Google is politically correct or not. Just go on to Google. It's got all the answers, and type in what does a person mean at law, and it'll tell you. And there's lots of stuff. So that word is the first. If you want to get involved in common law, remove that filthy, absolute criminal word out of your vocabulary. And it's sad to see that even a cartoon, they have little kids and these caricatures calling each other persons and stuff. It's the greatest form of brainwashing. And why should we be worried about person? Well, when you get a bill, it comes in capital letters. They're talking to the deceased estate at law. On your grave, it'll have it in capital letters, and then you're indefinitely well and truly dead, I hope. But get that word out of your vocabulary, because if you can find a man or a woman in any law, Justice Act, or anything that states a man or woman has committed an offense, you won't find it. It's all persons. So remove away from the dead, and let's go back to the living man or the living woman, and the in-betweens.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I think you've had me before on saying the word person. I think it comes from Greek, isn't it? Persona or something, soil and dirt, or some meaning that
it comes from the term a mask, where a persona, where they wore masks. And and that's where the good definition. Bill Turner, which is a really great guy, Bill used this in the courthouse. He took when the magistrate wanted to talk to the person, and Bill kept saying, "I'm a living man." And here's the evidence. He took a mirror out of his pocket and he went all over. Look, Your Honor, it's fogged up. Now, if you can get the persona, the straw man in there to do the same thing, I will believe then that a person exists, or I am the straw man. Well, that's just a reflection of who you really are, and that's who they're talking to, is the persona. And it doesn't. You think about it, if you continue to try and contract with a dead entity, and the dead entity saying, "No, I'm not dead, I'm alive, I'm a man or a woman," well, you're insane.
That's a very good point that you brought up there. I mean, is there any meaning in like impersonate? Is that anything to do with person impersonating? I don't know. Just that in my head.
Well, it's like when they say represent, they mean to represent on your behalf. Impersonating is just copying something. Now doesn't make much difference in that now.
I'll throw that in. Right. Well, I hope that's helped a lot of people out in getting their heads around what common law is about. And yes, Bill Turner, if anyone's watching, I think he's from New Zealand, but he's got some stuff on YouTube which is fascinating and really educational and very easy to watch and learn from. Understanding law, the color of law, syntax, which is a mathematical formula of putting sentences together in legal documentation. That's also worth watching. As Barry just said now, Bill Turner, YouTube. So keep an eye out for him. So yeah, I think we touched base there with some basics of common law, haven't we, Barry?
Yeah, well, Bill's into the statute law, and he's probably one of the greatest people that I know that's really got an understanding of it. But common law is here in Melbourne, Australia. We're the only real common law court that's in Australia, because we've had three court cases, which is not much, because you have to remember we were in lockdown, the most locked down city in the world, and now we're having the last laugh. And common law is growing. It's growing in the UK. We're originally, I think, in 1885. I have to now. I'm very tired. I've been at this all day, and it's now 10:30 at night. Anyway, 1885. I think the British got rid of common law when the Inns of London, where all the young men went to, they stayed in the Inns of London. There were the courts, the original statute courts where they come from, and they built up. And of course, money. This became a status symbol, so money was put into it, so it became very important, very, very big, and there was less records to be kept, and the common law court kind of faded away in the background. They got rid of it, and it still exists. It was a combination of it was a parallel system at one time, but then it faded away. The money came forward in the statute situation, and statute laws are just they created thousands and thousands of them. They got libraries that go 3 or 4 floors high, full of books. And the common law court here, especially here in the major court here, it's just one room of common law. Common law covers everything. Even if you're on a highway, and instead of having rules and regulation and traffic acts, common law covers everything. If you're driving down the freeway in a reckless manner, you can be charged under common law with reckless endangerment. So they don't need all the statute things, but they can make money out of it. The purpose of statute law is to get rid of juries as much as possible. And I don't know about the UK at the moment, but here in Australia, even very serious and some murder cases go through one judge. Now, no one man can judge others, because all men have prejudice, right? So in England, do they still have, in a normal magistrate's court, do they still have 3 magistrates as they used to have, or they just got one? Or you don't know?
I'm not too sure on that one, Barry. I'm not too sure.
You're probably lucky. But common law is very simple. It's kindergarten stuff. It's just a man and a woman, or both, whoever the case may be, make a complaint about some injustice by another man or woman, and it's taken into a front of a group of men and women in a gathering. You get enough people together to pick a jury of 12. Or you advertise the fact that you're going to have a court case, and you bring in as many neutral people who are not informed about what's happening, but you pick a jury from that. Like we did one of our court cases in November. Well, we had 2 on the one day, 2 different juries, and we picked a jury of 2 12s from 200 people. And how we did it was, we had a box, and we had a lot of blanks in there, and we put 12 numbers. So we went round. 2 ladies went round, and they found someone pick, oh, I've got a number, and I got a number. And then when they got to 12, we took them out, and they swore them in as a jury. So, I mean, that is a very fair way to, it's very simple. And then whoever is claiming injury or damage by a CEO of a company or something like that, because that you can't go after a corporation, but you can go after the CEO of that company, who you claim have caused you injury or damage or loss of earnings, or the case may be. You invite them in for mediation, and you have a camera there. They can bring video cameras as well and then record it. And if an agreement is not reached, then the next step, you send a summons out to that woman or man who's injured you, and you take them before a court of their peers. And of course, then the jury, you appoint a jury. You swear the jury in. An adjudicator is somebody which has a knowledge of law. He gets sworn in. 2 bailiffs to look after the jury, make sure they don't make phone calls or leave the premises and have a chat about the thing. Just common sense stuff. And a sheriff for the day looks after the court. Then the adjudicator calls that court to order, and the case goes forward. If the defendant turns up, he puts his side of it. There are no barristers, no solicitors, just mono. And then the jury, then when the evidence is, the case is put forward, the adjudicator tells them to go and deliberate and come back with a innocent or guilty and a remedy, what they want out of it. And they come back, the court's called to order, and then they explain, yes, guilty on X amount of charges, not guilty on this charge, or whatever the case may be. And we fine them, say, €10,000, £10,000, or $10,000. That's the verdict of the jury. And then you can go after them on that money. You can repossess property, you can clamp cars, you can take liens on property because you have a lawful excuse to do so, and you have the paperwork signed by the foreman of the jury and the secretary of the court to say these actions are lawful. And that's basically, it's a simple process. Now, the very important thing, the court case is held on a level playing field. There's no judge sitting up in a box who can communicate with the next box because they're all on different levels. If you were to put a flag in there, you'd have to have 5 flags because on the 5 different levels. There's no flags in a common law court, but say you wanted a Japanese court, you put the Japanese flag on that floor on the same level, it becomes a Japanese court. But in common law, you just don't have a court because it's just a bunch of ordinary men and women, because it's common to all, common law, and it's a normal court case. Very simple, Dominic.
Yeah, it all sounds very simple. I think on our next video, we can perhaps talk about where people can find a common law court, and and then look at things that have happened in common law in times gone by, and have a look at that. But as for now, I think we don't want to put too much info in there and blow people's brains out. I think we've probably covered the basics of common law for now. And then perhaps in our next video, we can explain how the people can find their common laws and how to go about getting people into common law courts and getting them, getting their cases looked at as such.
Okay. Yeah, well, you have the common law court in England. It's been going for 4 years. www.commonlawcourt.com. John Smith, but since John had the virus there, that COVID thing, he gone very quiet. He doesn't answer his phone anymore, and I don't know what he's doing these days, poor old John, but he's still there. And of course our other friends, which we've teed up with, as you know, the Guardians 300. We just got to get a few more things settled with them. We'll have to talk to Mick if he watches this. Mick, let's get something done, and we'll carry on from there. There's another group of common law people in the UK going around police stations, and I don't know what they're doing, but at least they're doing something. But if you're going to do something like that, you must have a lawful reason to go there and do something, rather than just go there and abuse the police or anything like that. So I don't know what they're actually doing. I'd like to find out more about that. And that is in your ball code. You're there. Should be able to tell me.
I should be having a look today. For sure, I'll be having a look. Well, I'd like to say thank you. Thank you for being so precise and clear on what common law is, and putting that little input in, well, a lot of input in helping people to understand common law. And it's been great chatting, Barry, and hope to chat soon so we can, spread the word, the momentum, get things going in common law. That's what's needed. That's
right. Well, there's lots of groups here calling themselves common law groups, where they've got nothing to do with it, and we have people running assemblies which are absolutely giving common law a bad name. No, it's just get the people together. It's not hard to organize. Get hold of the Guardians or anybody who help you over there. You have the number, and let's get it going. Okay, this is London News in Melbourne, signing off with Dominic in the UK, and I hope everything goes well. We'll catch up with you next week, Dominic.
Look forward to it, yeah. And smashing.
Okay, bye for now. Okay.
Bye, guys. Bye.